The Twins get a disappointing split against the visiting Cleveland Guardians. They also honor the Washington Senators by retiring the letter W. And we look ahead to another big series right after the previous big series against the Royals. It's time to get locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's right, and your team is most likely the Minnesota Twins. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Locked On Twins, your number one go-to daily destination for the latest Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, analysis, hand-wringing. A reminder that the Locked On Twins podcast is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which brings you your team every day. My host, my name is Dave Brown. I'm one of your co-hosts. I've been in the Baseball Writers Association since 2012, and I've been writing about baseball since 1998, roughly right before Jock Jones' era. And across the cyberspace aisle from me is Brandon Warren, who's going to tell all you nice people about him.
So. Yeah, I've been watching baseball since about as long as Dave's been writing about it, and then a few years tacked onto that, and then covering the Twins for the last 15. So, yeah, we're excited to talk to you, and lots to get to after this last weekend series. By the way, this episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse.com, which is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, h-vac, or electrical job, and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com.
Thank you, Brandon. So it was a disappointing weekend. It started out very promising with the Twins taking two games of the doubleheader Friday night. The bullpen coming through, the before guys or the after guys. I'm still confused about that, but I like the concept even if I don't have it down. But
yeah,
Theo Bar getting a couple of scoreless innings, and it set up for the Twins to possibly be in first place. They were only a game and a half out going into the final two games of the weekend. And you got to give the Guardians credit. They came back, and even though the Twins, again, I think won the StatCast battle, they had many more hard hit balls, and the Guardians sort of continued to live on luck of the pop up, and boy, they had some hits that there were frustrating moments, but and the bullpen came through in the end. Clase, it looked like the Twins were going to get to him in the last inning. Byron Buxton hit a couple home runs to get the team back into the game, and then they loaded the bases in the ninth against Clase, but he was able to get a strikeout and a double play, and so it's a disappointing weekend. It's not to be cynical about it, but it's kind of how the season has gone, even as the Twins have narrowed the gap, and they have. They were, I think, as many as 9 games out, and now they're 3.5, and it could have been better. But at the same time, they didn't have all their top players in the lineup. It's the same. I mean, it sounds like excuses, but it's the Twins, tried their darndest. But what are you feeling now after the kissing your sister weekend series with the Guardians, Brandon?
I think excuses are the cousin of reasons, and sometimes it's hard to know which side you're picking. And so to state plainly the reasons why things happen, I think if people are a little over emotional, they'll call those excuses. But there are legit reasons why that series went the way it did. The Guardians did Guardians things in the last 2 games. And for a minute there, the Twins out Guardians to the Guardians with that double steal, and they had a couple runs come across that were not. There are more Guardians like than Twins like in that Friday doubleheader. But part of me wonders too, like, how does the sequencing of a series change your perception of it? Like, how different would you be feeling if the Twins dropped the first 2, especially in a sweep of a doubleheader, and then roar back to win the next 2? Like, there's a lot of psychology in what a split looks like, or if you win, lose, or lose, win. Like, I think the way it goes, where either if you won, lost, or win, lose like they did, that's where kind of like the inertia comes into play. Whereas if you end the series with a win and split, maybe you feel a little bit more excited to have Kansas City come into town, another team you're trying to ward off / keep pace with. And so, yeah, it feels like stagnance. And I think what was the title of our podcast? It was a possible war of attrition.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like that was pretty prescient.
No, I would agree. I always like to find some of the good things that happen in the series. You got to like how Buxton is still hitting. You have to love, I preach patience sometimes, and sometimes I get preachy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But look at the series that Christian Vasquez had, and look at the season that he's had. He's been very good behind the plate. His defensive numbers have been strong, even though his offensive numbers still, are below average. But he's been on the rise, and he made a ton of plays during the series that were huge that the Twins really needed. And it's early in the season, Margot was just nothing. And it's not like he's turned out to be great, but he has turned out to be better against left-handed pitching, which is
He knows his role.
Exactly.
Santana was terrible to start the year.
Same thing.
How about this? How about this for, sorry to interrupt, the ninth inning, Vasquez and Farmer both reaching, like two guys who ordinarily you'd be like, well, we're pinch hitting for these guys.
Right.
And instead they pinch run for Vasquez, but it is what it is.
Well, and we're still kind of waiting on Ryan Jeffers to get restarted. I'm just not sure if there's a secret injury there or something, but he's been down for a while, and the Twins would not be as close as they are. It's not the first time that Vasquez has come through late in the game. People remember the walk-off home run, and so there are still positives in the way that the Twins are, sticking to it and staying positive. And it's one thing for fans to feel down or kind of get despondent or concerned about how the series has gone. But I feel like the Twins, the players themselves, they're the last people that we have to worry about with that. I don't think there's going to be a hangover or feeling sorry for themselves kind of situation for very long. Obviously, the Royals, command your attention, and we'll talk a little bit more about that series later. But I expect the Twins to keep kind of hacking away at the Guardians, and also if you look at how the Guardians have been playing in the long form, they've been they've been getting diminishing returns. I mean, they had a good series against the Twins, and you need to give them credit for that. But at the same time, overall, over the long haul, they're not playing as well as they were, and who would at the beginning of the season when everything was absolutely going right and they were getting win after win after win. I think they're still regressing, and I think if the Twins just keep pace and don't have any more colossal injuries, they're going to be in a good position to overtake them by the end. I still believe that. I think they're still the better team over 162, and we're not there yet. We're not, we're 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks left of the season. There's still time. There's still time, brother.
I don't think there's a single major league team that's happy with how they've played over the medium term.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I don't think so. Yankees, Phillies, they've all had spots where they've been just really in a rough. I mean, the Phillies were in the midst of that when they came to Minnesota.
Right, and they still kind of are. They're they got it handed to them yesterday by the D-backs, and there's a kind of a meme of Bryce Harper going around that he just looks, and he's been in a huge slump. It happens to the best teams, and the Dodgers have gone through it. They had a lot of injuries and other things hadn't gone well for them. The Red Sox, for as well as they've bounced back, they've had a ton of debilitating injuries and bad moments too. And the Yankees, Yankee fans have been complaining nonstop for 2 or 3 weeks at least about how
decades, really.
Well, true, but it's been acute lately because they haven't been very acute in how they've been playing.
Yeah, I don't find it very acute.
No, it's not. Although it is kind of, it's kind of, isn't that cute? the Yankees fans are upset. 2009 is the last time they won the World Series. It's so long ago. But
what a
I
shame
guess,
you're on pace to win 87 games or something.
right. If you're 25 years old, I guess it is like, hey, where are my championships? But if you put things in perspective, it's not so bad. And if you look at a few, there's some concerning things too. Royce Lewis not really being able to make the throw from third base. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's lower body. Is that some kind of leftover? Is he compensating for old injuries and the throws just aren't getting there? So I mean, it's not like there aren't things to concern yourself with or complain about. And boy, Twins fans will complain.
Yep.
But I also think just stick with him, give him a little more time, and it's going to turn out okay.
Well, I'm reminded of the Counting Crows song "Hanging Around" because that's what they need to do, and that's what they've been doing. Let's take our first break here, and then when we come back, we'll hit it on the Royals and the Senators retiring the W, which the White Sox did very early this season.
Oh, hilarious!
Yeah, I knew you'd love that, Dave. It's in my bag of tricks there. SupplyHouse, though, get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and product info to help you get the job done right. You can shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping, no matter what coast you're on. If you need help with an order, get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the game and talk to a real person every single time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive advantage by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So you can join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. And welcome back to Ibotta. I haven't talked about Ibotta for a while. It's summertime. You're getting sandals, sunscreen, snacks for your kids. What do those all have in common? Well, you're probably buying a bunch of stuff this summer. Even as we go into the dog days, we're coming into Labor Day weekend and all that. I always get Labor Day weekend and Memorial Day weekend confused, but it is Labor Day weekend. I'm certain of that. But hey, if you don't need to stress about the cost, don't do it, because Ibotta will help you get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on those summer essentials and even those fall essentials coming up here, because we all know back to school can be pretty expensive. Ibotta, Ibotta, is a free app that lets you earn cash back every single time you shop. You can earn on hundreds of items from groceries, beauty supplies, and even toys. So you can make sure you are beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. By the way, the average Ibotta user saves, or actually I should call it earns, not saves, earns, because the money comes to you, $256 per year. That could cover the cost of a huge shopping trip, maybe back to school, a flight you've been eyeing to get out of town before school starts, or that fancy dinner you've been craving for you and the missus. But other apps give you points. Points don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you get cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or on gift cards, whatever you want. It's pretty easy to do. It's easy. You just add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. There's over 2,400 brands and over 1,000 retailers, places like grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, places you go on a very regular basis. So it's time that you joined over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they shop. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 back just for trying by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. So go to the App Store or Google Play and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB.
Saw a tweet, by the way, from Greg Masterson. It was, how Twitter does the tweets. They do the For You, and I always get stuck in the For You pile rather than who I'm following. I mean, I am following him, but it's like, so in other words, it tweets from like 14 hours ago. And he noticed that Vasquez's OPS is over 600, so which is still not good, but with 700 being good, 800 being very good, 900 being great. It's better than it was. So obviously there's some real improvement there on his end. So
Did you see what he bought for him and me that we're gonna both wear?
remind me. Go. What is it?
He got us each Jeff Fry jersey
It's
from the Rockies, which I think Jeff Fry played like 7 minutes with the Rockies, and it's the vests too. So it's like the most obscure 3 things you can put together, and just having a little fun at old Mr. Fry's expense.
I think though, it's funny though. I used to like Fry's account, and then because I do believe in the viewpoint of listening to the viewpoint of old ball players.
Still
But
mad.
he leaned in. He's leaned into it way too much, and he's way too outkick, or there's something.
He's bitter.
Yes, and I don't like it.
He just wants to cry. Jeff Cry.
Also, yes, that's my favorite jersey. I love the Rockies black vests. They look like they're spacemen from the future. And while the Back to the Future uniforms, that's not what they were called, but when Major League Baseball did that 25 years ago.
What's that called?
What was that called?
Turn forward the clock or
turn
something.
Forward,
like
turn ahead.
Turn ahead the clock.
Most of those jerseys were not great. I like the kitsch value of it. I think the Rockies, those are sharp. No one agrees with me. People don't like vests. I don't think people like the Rockies, but I think they're great.
Montgomery Burns likes vests, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, made of real gorilla chest.
See my sweater. There's no better than authentic Irish setter.
Speaking of going back to the future or the past,
yes.
How about that for a transition? Over the weekend on Sunday, the Twins, kind of funny they did this, retired the letter W. Not really, but they're honoring the Washington Senators. They put a big W up.
Welcome to Locked On Tins.
Yes, exactly. So there's lots of jokes. They really set themselves up there. Well, I think that's why they didn't win any more games over the weekend, because they retired the W.
I thought the White Sox joke was better, though. They retired the W earlier this year. And then you're like, womp, womp, because you grew up a White Sox fan.
It's just, it's punching down. It's so easy to squash the White Sox because they're so terrible.
That's why you do it, though. If nothing worth doing is hard.
You're not wrong. So the whole Senators thing is awkward. It's like an elephant in the room. And I'm not talking about the A's. That's awkward, too, because they've moved from city to city. But it's like, what do you do? There's nowhere for the Senators' history to go. And I'm all about, speaking of Jeff Fry, that was an accidental connection, honoring the past. And there's really nowhere for the Senators to go. In Washington, D.C., you've got the Nationals, and they have honored the Expos in the past, similarly to what the Twins are doing, because that's where they came from. They came from Montreal Expos, and there's really nowhere else to do it. And they might even have honored Walter Johnson and players like that, great players from Washington's baseball past.
They had his grandson on the radio broadcast.
Oh, the Twins did?
Yeah, he's in his 70s, and
that's neat. I'm gonna have to listen for that.
He laughed at everything they said, which was kind of funny. But no, he seemed like a super guy, and they kept begging for the inning to go longer so they could talk to him. And then Trevor Larnach got a hit. Otherwise, they almost went down 1-2-3. And those quick innings, like when they had Terry Ryan on the other night, it was like a 1-2-3, and Terry Ryan barely got even to say anything. Though, granted, that speech he had before the game had a lot of people not wanting to hear from him anymore.
Was it too long?
42 minutes.
Well, he's getting his day, so take advantage of it, I guess.
Thanking everybody else, and that's classic Terry. And I wish I would have brought it up on the show. I'll have to send him a message and just say, hey, listen, we probably should have leaned more on that instead of the trade deadline once we had you.
I was thinking before we had Terry Ryan on that we could have made it into 3 shows.
Probably.
But well, he told us, I think he said this afterwards. He was so excited to talk baseball that obviously you weren't, Terry, because you've got a lot of time to fill in the speeches and all that stuff. But
it was the Terry Ryan National Convention.
Well, he deserves it. He deserves his moment. And I think my point, I guess, is that you don't have a Twins without a Senators, and there's no. I don't. The Senators, do they have the same colors? I don't even know because all the Senators stuff's in black and white that I see.
Yeah, they had the White Sox colors. They were black and white all those years. No, I have a throwback Senators hat. Maybe I don't have it anymore, but I had gotten it at like a TJ Maxx or something, and it was I think it was a red bill or
Right.
brim with a blue W and then like a cream colored, crown or whatever.
That sounds like the Twins, kind of.
Yeah, and so I mean I think that was era accurate. Maybe not obviously. It didn't fit like one of those small ones with the huge bill like you see the kid wearing in the Sandlot. But
Right.
no, I think you're right. I think blue for sure and red. So I think and you can't transfer that to the Rangers who became the Senators after the fact. I mean I don't know. It's tricky. It's like the Ravens and the Browns, and now you get the Browns again, but they're not the Ravens. They're not the original Browns. So there is some navigating of whose records belong to who. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much, but it's a self-respecting, self-effacing, game that honors tradition, and that's why this matters more than just there's a big W out there. Who cares?
And it's most of the guys. I mean, none of the Senators from 1924 obviously are still alive. I don't know if anybody from 1960 when the team moved is still alive. But remember, Harmon Killebrew was a Washington Senator. I think that's if we can just tug on a heartstring for a second.
When
I
he
think
was a bonus baby.
What's that?
When he was a bonus baby, he had to come up at like 17 or 18, and
Right.
almost like Rule 5, where you sit on the back of the roster, you sit on the back of the bench. I think I want to say he was like 17, and he had played like 12 games or something. I'm looking it up right now because no, at 18 he played 9 games, 19 he played 38, 44 at 20, and 9 at 21, 13 at 22. That's a 5-year stretch of like 100 games where that's development for a lot of guys these days.
Right. And especially with all the minor league stops that they could have had back in those days where they had
Class C-ball and all that.
C-ball, D-ball, and and plus AA and all that. But there's your link, and Walter Johnson needs somewhere to be celebrated, and a World Series champion needs somewhere to be celebrated. I understand that it's awkward because the Minnesota kind of, I don't want to say stole, but they inherited someone else's baseball team. So there's like a misery thing going on there where you don't really want to trample on the Washington fans. They later got another team and then another team. So it's a lot of it is awkward, but also like the Royals and other teams do this too. The Royals sometimes wear Negro League uniforms, and they have a Negro League Day, and Kansas City's a huge part of the Negro League scene because the Monarchs, Jackie Robinson played there. Satchel Paige lived there. Satchel Paige had a house in Kansas City that they're trying to restore and make a monument. So these things need to be kept alive, and that's why it's a good thing. I think that the Twins did this over the weekend, even though it is awkward. And I kind of wish maybe that they had been doing it earlier. I think that's part of the problem, that they sort of ignored the Senators, understandably, the history for so many years. It's kind of overdue, but I'm glad that they did it.
Well, before we run to break, I just want to say that I always thought Walter Johnson kind of looked like Al Bundy, and not in like a negative sense. I just think like Ed O'Neill could have played him in the Walter Johnson biopic, and I think if you go look at that, you won't be able to unsee it. But
okay, Peg.
Yeah, right, exactly. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll finish this up with a little Royals talk. We love sports, and the sports at this time of the year aren't sportsing as much. You've got the NBA, NHL in hiatus, not for long, but NFL not quite into full swing yet. We're watching preseason games, hoping guys don't get hurt. And MLB's in the dog days. But when the sports aren't sportsing like you want them to, FanDuel keeps you in the mood by giving you all kinds of different options on the app and dreaming up bets anytime you like. This summer, as summer winds down, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus every single day. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. By the way, Twins and Royals, Pablo Lopez and Brady Singer, which you can catch on SiriusXM on the SXM app, 6:40 first pitch. They have the spread with the Twins plus 140 and minus 1.5. They are minus 152 on the money line, and it's an over-under of 8. So those are the lines and numbers you are looking at for this evening's game. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
So we got the Royals coming up on the Twins side. The Cubs are going to Cleveland, and that should be a difficult series for Cleveland, coming off probably an emotional drain against the Twins. And
the Twins taxed their relievers, the relievers that we were already worried about being taxed. Not worried in the sense of, I hope they don't get taxed, but more,
right.
Hey, hopefully they keep taxing you and you start throwing tea in the harbor. And I'm just kidding.
We talked about attrition, and I think the Guardians are due for some attrition.
I think they're in the middle of it.
Yeah, but with results that are going to be beneficial to the Twins and a little more obvious. So I think the Cubs, Shota is pitching today against Ben Lively. Ben Lively, I love the Ben Lively story. The past 2 years, he's turned into a really good major league pitcher. He's due for some kind of southerly turn.
He's thrown 110 in the third innings, I think. And you've seen how he's been pretty good, right?
Yeah.
What would you guess his FanGraphs WAR is? I was talking to a friend about this.
0.07.
0.07?
I don't know. What is it?
0.5. In 110 innings, it's 0.5.
That's what I meant. I meant what you meant.
I would have guessed like a 3-something ERA in 110 innings. You'd think, oh man, probably a 1.4, 1.6. It's 1.6 on Baseball Reference. And it's underwhelming. And again, he gives up a fair amount of homers and not a crazy strikeout guy, and the BABIP is off the charts low. So I don't know. I mean, I know Bibee is good. I know Gavin Williams is pretty good. I'm not sure about Ben Lively yet.
Well, that's a performance probably that the Paddock would take.
Yeah.
Results, but
can I ask you something about the Royals?
Yeah.
How much do you care that their schedule was like all Guardians, or not all Guardians, all White Sox and who did they beat up on? The White Sox and the Tigers, I think, here in the second half.
Yeah, well, they did beat up on the Tigers for sure.
10 of 14 games. Like, how much do you look at them and they're like, oh man, they're hanging in there. Yeah, but they're doing it against some teams that are, the also-rans. And then also Bobby Witt Jr., like you're going to face him out of Kansas City where he becomes, suddenly a much more ordinary player.
More like Bobby Witt Sr. trying to hit? Maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's probably fair.
True. He does not have, and some people have joked, I think it's a joke about whatever advantage the Royals have. Is there someone hiding in the fountains?
Banging like the trash can, I think it is.
The man in white. Well, don't use banging the trash can around the Twins either.
The man in white moves at midnight.
So I don't know if there is someone hiding in the fountains or what. And if there is, he's very wet.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I think, at least the results show that Bobby is much more controllable at home. So I have a question though. Have your little people been telling you about who's going to start Tuesday's game for the Twins? Because Pablo's going today. What do you know about Tuesday?
I want to be as cagey as possible, but let's just say I think someone's going to make their major league debut in this series. I'm trying to be cagey because I don't want to betray anybody. But yeah, I feel pretty good about a rookie making their major league debut in the Royals series at home.
Can I make a pun that rhymes with the guy's name? Or is he like a Zeb slinger? Like a web slinger? A Zeb slinger?
I think back in when I was watching wrestling again, there was a guy with a big bushy beard that had the name Zeb. That's probably the most I should.
So Hunter Gaddis is starting?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it's actually Wade Boggs.
I don't know if the person who shall not be named is ready or not. He had one horrendous start at AAA, at least one. And then the last one was pretty good. It was like 5 innings and one. You see good signs from like Festa.
Yep.
Incomplete. I think it was a little bit disappointing how he went through the third time.
What did you think of lifting him then? Because I had someone ask me, well, what do you think? And I'm like, well, at the same time, like, I know you've had this is the fourth game of a tough series, but you can't afford to let Festa work out of it if it's not going to happen. And so
I think I thought about all this too as it was happening. I'm like, you let him go. I would, if it's May and we have like lots of season left, I think you maybe can make the argument that Festa should have stayed in or could have stayed in. But we are obviously getting to, this was like a playoff series. These are all twofers. Rocco knows this. This is a win and a loss for your opponent.
He didn't even have to Google
the standings. What's that?
He didn't even have to Google that it's a twofer.
No, exactly. No, he did. Well, that's the front office.
Got it.
It's Falvey, but so no, it was time to get him. I thought they had to kind of limit the damage. And look what happened. The really big hit in that inning was like I think it was a broken bat, like a pop up over the second baseman's head. Maybe Edouard Julien gets there. I don't know if he can outrun Farmer, but I think wasn't that inning?
Yeah, and I don't think that would have broken the speed limit in the school zone.
No, so it's not like it didn't work out, but I don't think we can say that it didn't work. So
yeah.
So we'll see if the next rookie can help the Twins get on the board and win at least a couple games against the Royals. I think the only thing we're hoping for there is that they don't lose 2 out of 3. So
yeah, exactly. Before we get out of here, just make sure you check out Locked On MLB with Sully for your second listen every day. Again, Locked On MLB. Good old friend Sully is on there. But hey, we've been hanging with you here. We appreciate you. This is Locked On Twins, and we'll see you tomorrow night.